Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's presentation. We, as the COPPERBELT group, have the honors of being the first to present. Our group is comprising of myself. My name is Achisenga Sarah. We also have Mr. Benny Shilemuna and Mr. Robbie Musonda. Our group is going to present to you financial reports for PUMA Energy Zambia Limited for the financial year ended 30th December 2020. So there we have the table of contents showing you the content of our presentation. So financial statements are statements that contain historical and current information. Financial statements have got varying interests from different stakeholders. We have customers who will mostly be interested in competitiveness and efficiency of the company from the financials. Employees will be interested in profitability, liquidity, and viability of the company from the financials. The government of a country from financials of a company will be interested in checking tax compliance of a company. Investors will be interested in looking at profitability, one. They will also be interested in looking at the share price and the movement of this share price. And most importantly, investors will be interested to see if a company does declare dividend and pay its shareholders dividends before anyone can invest in a company. Banks and lending institutions from financials will be interested in a company's ability to pay back. Suppliers and creditors also will be interested in liquidity and the ability of a company to pay obligations as they fall due. This will also be explained further as we look at ratios. So PUMA Energy Zambia is PUMA Energy is a global company which was first incorporated in 1920 in Argentina. It was listed on the Lusaka Stock Exchange in 2002. In Zambia, PUMA Energy has 52 retail service stations. It has 32 convenience stores, and it is present in 3 airports where it sells jet fuel. The core business of PUMA Energy is to supply, store, refine, distribute various petroleum products. When we are assessing performance of a company, there are 2 components that are looked at. These are financial and non-financial performance. So first, we started by assessing non-financial performance of PUMA Energy. And other non-financial performance, we looked at the corporate social responsibility, where the notable project by PUMA Energy is its partnership with Zambia Road Safety Trust, where it sponsors a lot of safety awareness campaigns and infrastructure improvements. In employee welfare, that's also another aspect of non-financial performance. PUMA Energy always endeavors to ensure that their employees are safe. PUMA Energy always endeavors to make sure that they are environmentally friendly and environmentally compliant as they carry out their business by having a strict health, safety, and security and environment policy. PUMA Energy in the year 2020 introduced a new product, which is tailor-made to its mining companies. This product has improved operations, it has reduced costs, and it has significantly added value to its mining customers. Lastly, on non-financial performance, we look at market share, where we saw from a report from Energy Regulation Board of Zambia that PUMA Energy enjoys a large market share in Zambia, where it has a 23% share of the fuel market. It has a 9% share in heavy fuel market. It has a 62% share in the jet fuel market and a 20% share of the lubricant market. Next, we go into the financial statements in assessing the performance of the company. So the first statement that we're going to look at is the profit and loss statement, and Mr. Benny Shilemuna will take us through the analysis of the financials in the profit and loss statement.
This sales revenue is an increase in the difference between sales and expenditure. This improved from 4,217,779 in 2019 to 4,678,029, indicating a 10.9% upward increase due to high demand by mining companies and upward fuel adjustment. Cost of sales increased significantly from 3 288,716,000 in 2019 to 4,176,789. Gross profit in 2020 was 501,240,000, higher than in 2019, which was about 333,716,000, indicating an increase of 48%. Nswari and Nugari also of 2020 defines gross profit margin as a measure of gross profit over revenue. This can be also illustrated in 2019, which was about 8%, and 2020, which was about 10%, indicating a difference of 2% profit margin increase. Another total income generated in the year 2020 is 26,615 in 2019, and in 2019 was 21,711 with a variance of 4,904. We go to the next page where we talk of other total incomes generated in the year 2020 is 26,615, and in 2019 it was 21,711 with a variance of 4,901. General and administration expenses. The company recorded an adverse variance of 26,411, 711 million, indicating a 63%. These expenses comprises of management fees and depreciation of equipment. Sales and operation costs are businesses costs and liabilities, which includes overhead expenses, provisions, and staff expenses. The company recorded a sharp increase in cost in 2020 as compared to 2019. The overhead cost and provisions increased by 53.7% and 718.5% respectively. Operating profit. Our profits recorded before tax. This is according to the citation of Shalvarize and Shaderin of 2011. The company recorded an operating profit of 298,480,000 in 2020 as compared to 204,247,000 in 2019, giving us a favorable variance of 94,233,000, representing a 46% increase. Tax remittance. Tax remittance income tax paid in 2020 were 83,541,000 and 55,804,000 in 2019, recording an adverse variance of 27,737,000. The other component which we are going to talk about is the net financial expenses. These are borrowing and interest expenses, according to a baseline 2014. Profit before income tax. The company recorded an increase of profit before income tax in 2020 of 243,722,000 as compared to 161,352,000 in 2019 as a result of favorable variance of 82,370,000, representing a 51% increase in profit before income tax. This was generated from PUMA Energy of the financial year report of 2020. Net profit. The company recorded a net profit of 160,181,000 in 2020 compared to 105,548,000 in 2019, giving us a favorable variance of 54,633,000, representing a 51% increase in profit. Other comprehensive income. In the year 2020, the company recorded the accrual gain of 2,960,000 compared to 6,268,000 in 2019. The concept behind the accrual benefits is that the more the figure increases, the higher the benefits, and the higher the figure, the lower the benefits. This is where I end on the income statement, on the profit and loss statement. My colleague, Madam Sarah, will carry it over on the next component, which need to be analyzed.
So we'll carry on and we'll look at the statement of financial position, which is a balance sheet. The balance sheet is basically a summary of the company's assets and liabilities. So below we have a table which shows PUMA Energy's assets and liabilities breakdown as at 30th December 2020. So for non-current assets, these are long-term assets. PUMA Energy had property, plant, which increased in the year 2020 from 2019. Is right of use from assets, which is basically the benefits that PUMA Energy is drawing from its leased properties, its leased service stations, and its leased depots. PUMA Energy recorded a reduction in those benefits from 2019 to 2020. Other receivables, again, PUMA Energy recorded a reduction in these receivables. Long-term portion of finance leased asset receivables, PUMA Energy recorded a reduction in these from the year 2019 to 2020. And surplus over pension benefit obligations. So these as well, PUMA Energy recorded an increase in 2020 from the year 2019. For current assets, these are short-term assets, and these are assets that the company uses to finance its day-to-day operations. PUMA Energy had inventory, where we recorded an increase in inventory from the year 2019 to 2020. For trade receivables, PUMA Energy again recorded an increase from 2019 to 2020. Short-term portion of finance leases receivables, PUMA Energy recorded an increase, and for its cash and its bank balances, PUMA Energy recorded a positive increase again from 2019 to 2020. So for equity, PUMA Energy's equity is made up of share capital and reserves. Its share capital was constant between the year 2019 and 2020. This is because PUMA Energy did not issue any additional shares in 2020, so their share capital was constant. In the year 2020, however, PUMA Energy recorded an increase in reserves. Reserves are funds that the company keeps for future use. They are also known as retained earnings. Non-current liabilities, these are the company's long-term liabilities. For lease liabilities, PUMA recorded an increase from 2019 to 2020. Environmental provisions, again, PUMA recorded a reduction from 2019 to 2020, and deferred tax liability, they recorded a reduction. Dividends payable, PUMA Energy recorded an increase in the year 2020 from 2019. This is basically because we'll see from additional finances as Robbie starts presenting on shares and share capital, we'll see that dividends that were payable in 2019, some of them were not paid and they were deferred to 2020. Hence, we see an increase in the dividends payable in 2020. Trade and other payables, there was an increase from 2019 to 2020. Bank overdraft, we see a reduction in that. Lease liabilities and interest-bearing loans and borrowing, we saw a reduction, and we saw an increase in income tax payable from 2020. Income tax payable increase is mainly attributed to the fact that they incurred more sales. So this table here just shows us the figure as I was explaining, where there was an increase and where there was a reduction. We see that total assets and liabilities, total equity and total assets and liabilities were valued at 1,861,840 for 2020, whereas they were at 1,613,207,000 in 2019. So next we'll have Robbie take us through the cash flow statement and the financial ratios for PUMA Energy.
I'm going to look at the cash flow statements, and we're going to look at what is equity. Equity, first of all, is the amount of money that the investors put in the company for their own use, for the company's use. And equity, the equity of the company comprises of shares and reserves. And the reserves, we've seen the amount, it increased from 895,677,000 in 2019 to 1,047,222. Return on capital employed increased from 22.68% in 2019 to 28.37 in 2020. This was due to the increase that the company had in reserves. Net asset turnover did not change significantly. It was within the 4. And the gross profit ratio improved from 8% in 2019 to about 10.7% in 2020. Liquidity ratio in years, that is, it remained with 2.65, which means the company is able to pay up its debtors. I'm going to look at the gearing ratio for 2019. 2019, the gearing ratio was 79.11, while in 2020 it was 76.9%. Hence, the company can say it was lower geared. Then stock turnover ratio days. For 2020, it was 17 days, whereas in 2020 was 22 days. Debtors debt ratios. It took less days to pay in 2019, which was 63 days, compared to 67 days in 2020. Creditors ratios. It took 23 days to pay out suppliers in 2019, as compared to 33 days in 2020. Earnings per share capital on investment in 2020 had increased to about 32.04 per share, compared to 21.11 in 2019. Earnings price per earnings share for 2019 was about 0.09476 and had increased in 2020 to about 0.1875. This intends or shows rather that the company was overvalued in 2020. The next slide. Financial statements are based, actually, these are the limitations of the financial statements. Financial statements are usually based on historical data. They do not incorporate the company's future plans. They can easily be manipulated to have a good picture by management of the company. The recommendations that we can make are these follows. The market shares for PUMA Energy to increase its sales, it needs to explore the market in the border areas like the DRC Congo, and PUMA Energy is only presented, is only got one airport in Congo. So they have to look at these markets and increase them. They also have to engage in purchase agreement. Companies like Chambeshi Metals and Mopani Mining are one of the companies that PUMA Energy has done well in that. In order to reduce the finance expenses, we will notice that looking at that, the financial expenses were very, very high. And PUMA Energy needs to talk to the bankers, okay, its banking partners, in order to reduce the interest that is charged on overdrafts. When making business decisions also, we've seen that there was a lot of over provisions. PUMA Energy needs to have facts that are based and well researched rather to avoid the speculation. And also they need to stiffen up the credit days, because we've looked at the time it was taking for PUMA Energy to get paid. It was taking a lot of days. Okay, next slide. In conclusion, from the financial statement analyzed, it is sure that PUMA Energy in Zambia is it's a profitable entity. It's a profitable entity, and it's able to finance its operations, it's able to pay its debtors, and it's able to pay out dividends to the shareholders. It is backed by the fact that the company reported a profit in the year 2020 as compared also to 2019. It represented a 51% rise in profit. This was verified by the auditor, the independent auditor that the company had engaged in 2020. I think this is the end of our presentation, unless there is a question from the group. Suzio? Mr. Mwila?
Questions?
Okay, thank you. Madam Suzio? Madam Suzio, any comment, any contribution? Okay. Silence means everything is okay. Thank you very much for your attention and for your time in this presentation that has been conducted. We are now going to end the presentation. Thank you everyone for your time and your attention.